guys, Kristen here. I thought it would be fun to check in with another vlog. This time I'm doing something that I'm not entirely comfortable with, which is face on camera. But I'm going to give it my best shot. I took to social media, Facebook and Instagram, and I asked you guys what you wanted to know about me being a full-time artist. I did not actually consider myself to be a professional artist until I had received a tattoo apprenticeship, and at that time I was doing art as my job on a full-time basis. Once I finished the apprenticeship, I worked in the tattoo shop for about a year, and then a long story later, I found myself no longer tattooing, but I knew I wanted to still pursue art in some way. So I had already had an interest in art journaling at that point, and I knew I wanted to pursue it more online. So I started joining design teams and working for different art supply companies, and I found that to be a lot of fun. And in fact, that's something that I have continued to do over the years. It's been a pretty long road. Because for every yes that I have received on this art journey, it feels like there have been like 50 no's, but perseverance is always key. At one point I determined that I had a lot of fun making tutorials for the different design teams and art supply companies, so I knew I wanted to pursue teaching online, but I had no idea where to begin. And then one day I received an email from an artist and online art teacher named T.R. Smith, and she asked me if I had ever considered doing it. And it felt like a sign. It had been something that I'd been thinking about, that I'd been wanting to do, so I agreed to teach in my very first online collaborative art course. I didn't even have the proper equipment. I had no idea what I was doing. So I researched it, I got the equipment, and it was one of those like fake it till you make it situations, I guess. From that initial course, TR invited me back to teach in some other classes, and then from that experience I was also invited by other teachers to teach in their courses. And then fast forward to earlier this year, I decided to take the plunge to launching my very own solo class, and I have around 87 students enrolled at this point, so it's a super surreal experience. But yeah, long-winded. I've developed my career through tattooing, commissioned art, art journaling, teaching, Patreon, designing for different companies, local art shows. That's all a part of what I do. The next question that I was asked was, how do you seek out opportunities? And to that I would just say so many different ways. The biggest one being social media and networking in person. Sometimes, on a pretty rare occasion, opportunities find me, and those are a little extra cool. The next question was, how do you cultivate a collector base? I think that comes from having a recognizable style, an experience, and consistency that people can follow along with. I also found a lot of joy in finding ways to share my art with others in more unexpected ways, like dropping free art street side and when I did the work on the St. Joseph, Missouri traffic box, I painted street side on this traffic box for about a week straight. And so that was really fun because I had a chance to meet a lot of new people and just experience people in a different setting where they could watch me work in person. So that was a lot of fun and a really just cool thing to do. Next question was, how do you price your work? And I think that if you ask any artist this question, you'll find it's one that we all struggle to answer, because art feels like it's a piece of me, and so that emotional attachment can make it kind of difficult. But I always take into account the cost of supplies, the time that I put into the work, and what I feel like I need to get out of the piece to not only make it worth my while, but I also try to stay super affordable because I want people who like my work to be able to have access to it. Next question, super serious one here. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Thank you for this question. Bring on the horse-sized duck. Next question is, what inspires you? I'm going to be super cliche here, but I don't even care because it's true, and that is nature. And it might come as a surprise, but also animals. I really love animals and pets, and even though I can't swim, I love water. I recently visited my Chemtrails West bandmate Arlo in California, and I experienced the ocean for the first time, and it was next level. Next question, are you disciplined in doing your creating or do you go with the flow? I would say that I'm a little bit of both. I'm really disciplined on the business side of what I do in scheduling and bookkeeping and planning out my day as though I were working for someone else. And then with my artwork, a lot of times I practice intuitive painting where I'm more going with the flow as I paint, and then other times I will sketch something out until it's totally perfect and then transfer it to a canvas and not even begin adding paint until it's exactly what I want. I really do a combination of both. It just depends on the painting and how I'm feeling at the time. The next question is, what advice would you give an artist that's wanting to do art full time? For that, I would say my biggest piece of advice would be to figure out a way to have multiple income streams, because it is really hard. It is really hard to make it as an artist, especially if you're just going off of one income stream. And so anytime that you can find a way to make passive income, that's a good thing to do. Otherwise, it's just a matter of getting yourself out there and marketing and building a collector base. One piece of advice that I was given when I started out was starting a newsletter. I'm still really bad about keeping tabs on that newsletter, but that just gives people a way to follow you, and it means, like, sometimes with social media, algorithms change, and so people who were able to find you before, they can't find you anymore. But with your newsletter, no one can take that from you. So take the advice that I don't always follow, set up a newsletter, and start building a following that people can find you through. The next question was, what books do you like? And that changes from time to time. Lately, I've been loving poetry books, and I've loved, I've been reading R.H. Sin, Neil Hilborn, and Rudy Francisco. I just bought Rudy's book Helium, and I read that on the plane on the way to California. It took me like 30 minutes to read the whole book, but it was incredible. Highly recommend. Would you ever be interested in being on our horror podcast? I've never really done a podcast, but yeah. Are you sure I'm qualified? The next question is, how much do you enjoy a good taco? Corn or flour, tortilla, and soft or hard? Tacos rule. Corn and flour tortilla, but not at the same time, just depends on the mood. And soft. Next question, for commissions, do you like taking ideas from your head or provided ideas from your customer? So, my favorite thing is when the customer gives me just enough of an idea to run with. That's my favorite. Question, what's your favorite food? I would really have to say sushi and Mediterranean. And then for drinks, I really like iced lattes and unsweet tea. And then White Russians and Bloody Marys. Next question, what is your favorite horror movie? I really like so many. I like classics like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, also The Shining, Silence of the Lambs, and I don't know if it's really considered a horror movie, but more like dark fantasy, but Pan's Labyrinth is incredible, and Pale Man scares me more than a lot of other characters. Also, I have not watched it since, but Drag Me to Hell scared me shitless. But I think a lot of it was due to, I was in this dollar theater during this like wicked thunderstorm, and the exit door kept like slamming open and shut, and the theater lost power right at this really intense scene. And I just remember as the theater got power back and this door is still wide open and this water is just raining down, there's this silhouette of this goat in the window that rocked my world. I love horror movies because I tend to get freaked out by the weirdest parts of them. Anyway, that's all I have for this artist Q&A vlog. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.